Okay, so here I am with Maria Vera Duran. Maria is the Senior Technical Advisor with EuRIC, the European organisation. Hello Maria, welcome.
Hello.
Start by telling us who EuRIC is and what its scope is, please.
Okay, so EuRIC is the European Recycling Industry Confederation. We are based in Brussels and we represent the recycling industry towards the European institution. So our members are mainly national associations and federations from the recycling sector, and we represent in total 5,500 recycling companies.
Okay, so here we are at the International Automotive Recycling Congress. Could you tell us why you're here?
Well, I think one of the most important topics we are discussing here is the new end-of-life vehicles regulation. This is a key piece of legislation for us because in EuRIC we cover over every waste stream: metals, non-ferrous, ferrous, plastics, tires. So this is a very key piece of legislation that is going to be key if we want to increase the circularity in the automotive sector.
And here at the Congress you find actors from the whole value chain, but also the authorities.
Yeah, it's very nice to be able to exchange all the views, because maybe sometimes we need to agree on how to achieve the targets. So it's very nice to have these discussions.
And tell us what the key points are for EuRIC that you want to talk about.
I think one of the most important points is the setting mandatory recycling content targets for plastics in new vehicles. This is being discussed now because what we see is that there is not enough demand for recycled plastics. We have plastic recycling companies that have been investing in the past 5 years. We have reached 12.2 million tons of installed recycling capacity, but still we are only using around 7 million tons in new products, which means that we need some incentives in legislation to boost the demand for recycled plastics. And the ELV regulation presents a unique opportunity to increase the demand for recycled plastics.
And apart from plastics, what other issues do you want to talk about?
Well, for EuRIC, we always aim to have measures to increase collection, to increase the demand for other recycling materials, steel, aluminium, also how to increase the design, improve the design for recycling, because at the end recyclers are not magicians. We cannot turn water into wine. So if we receive a car that is difficult to recycle, if we receive materials that are not designed for recycling, then it will make more difficult our job. So tackling, setting a design for recycling criteria under the new regulation is essential to increase circularity.
And of course, recently there have been a lot of movements, both sides of the Atlantic. How does this affect your members?
Well, this is very important, especially with the exports-imports restriction. For example, for plastics, there will be a new ban to export plastic waste to non-OECD countries next year. So if we close, let's say, the doors in Europe to send or materials outside the EU, then we need to also consider the imports and especially the domestic demand. What we have is the domestic demand is not enough in Europe. What we are going to do with the waste and with the recycling materials? We need to secure the domestic demand in the EU.
So what would be for you the ideal conditions to continue increasing recycling?
We need incentives, recycling content targets. I think this is the most successful tool to increase demand for recycling materials. Other incentives, better implementation of EPR schemes, maybe also a lower VAT rate for recycling materials. They could also help to manufacturers to increase their use. And certain requirements also, as I mentioned, for collection and design for recycling in the legislation.
Well, we wish you a lot of luck with the negotiations. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you so much.